We wanted to start a magazine by and for sex workers because we felt like sex workers are always like stigmatized and stereotyped in the media, and we felt like we wanted a place for sex workers to speak for ourselves.
Spread's mission: Spread's a magazine by and for people in the sex industry and those who support their rights.
The narratives that are out there about sex work are really all about despair. They're not about joy. They're not about it really as labor.
The portrayal of sex workers in mainstream media focuses on a fascination and a titillation, often covered with a veneer of this is a serious article about a very serious issue that we're about to present to you, about a horrifying story of a young woman, you know, fill in the blanks.
You know, the mainstream media puts out information about sex workers as being, you know, what, like money hungry or man haters or unintelligent or unable to do other work.
The media's either portrayed sex workers as a problem to get rid of, or women who are trying to take advantage of men who have more money than them.
I mean, I feel like a lot of the language around it is really offensive and derogatory, and there's very rarely anything in a positive light.
The children in Shelley's church are not the only ones exposed to prostitution. Just across her parking lot and in the center of this community is a Head Start with about 80 children under 5 years of age. A prostitute watches the children walk to the playground. And while the children play, street women make their way around the chain link fence.
I've rarely seen a unique twist on a sex worker. Like, they're always usually shown as the same way. Like, they're usually doing it because they need drug money, or like they were hurt as a child and are basically taking out on their clients. Like, I just feel like there's really no range, and it's kind of laughable, actually.
Well, they're depicting two things. One is like the DC Madam, the Ashley Dupre, the people who are the high-end escort industry and people who are making $13,000 a date or whatever, who are being framed as a particular kind of depraved.
Even when the stories are about the high-class call girl, and it's so cliched to say that, but the high-class call girl motif is really about disgust as well. To say that, look, this young woman is earning much more money than you can, and so we're going to be fascinated by her life for 15 minutes, but then she should be punished.
And then the street-based sex worker, who is the scourge of society, the purveyor of disease, the person who doesn't let you and your children walk home from the playground without being propositioned for sex and having to trip over their crack pipe and their needles, and you know, that they have to walk by seeing them having sex with their clients in an alleyway, etc.
I don't know if I've ever seen the mainstream media portray a sex worker, specifically a sex worker of color, in a good light.
I mean, all of it is bad, but white sex worker, very fancy, making lots of money, affording all of the things that she wants. Black sex worker, dirty whore, bitch.
Because the moment they approach the mainstream press, I promise you, and everybody in the industry's experienced this who works with media, you will be reduced to a soundbite. You will be like, you know, your friend will be the woman who was murdered on the street, the prostitute who was murdered. She's not a mother, she's not a sister, she's not a loved one. She's a dead prostitute, and who cares?
Help stop stigma and discrimination against sex workers!
way of addressing sex worker issues in the media has been through the annual organising of an event on December 17th, the Day Against Violence Against Sex Workers.
It's used to call attention to the violence committed against sex workers, as well as the stigma and discrimination that sex workers often face.
The violence experienced by sex workers at the hands of community members and police is part of a larger framework of policing sex and policing specifically gender nonconformity and sexual nonconformity.